Hi, this is Dr. Bitlavenu coming in front of you to discuss CNC components and attachments. In continuation to the previous session, I would like to discuss the few of the components, leftover components in CNC components and attachments. Let me quickly go into the contents that were discussed in the previous session. In the previous session, we discussed the CNC missions, construction details of the CNC missions, and their components. We try to explore the things regarding the construction details. Then we have seen the types of CNC machining centers, in which we have discussed the vertical machining center, horizontal, and universal machining center. Based on the orientation of the spindle, CNC machining centers are classified into three types. One is vertical, horizontal, and the universal. In the case of vertical machining center, as we have seen in our last class, the spindle axis is vertical. So, and in the case of the horizontal machining center, the spindle axis is horizontal. In both the cases, the axis of the spindle is considered to be the z-axis only. The remaining two axes are going to orient towards the table, or represents the table moments. Then we are also discussed in the case of universal machining center, we can adjust the moment of the spindle in any of the angle between vertical to horizontal plane. That is what the flexibility of the universal machining center. It can reach, the tool can reach, the spindle can reach the work. I mean, tool and work can contact in any of the angle between vertical to horizontal plane in the case of universal machining center. Whereas in the case of horizontal machining center, tool can reach the vertical plane also along with the horizontal plane. Whereas in the case of horizontal machining center, tool only can reach the horizontal plane. It cannot reach the, that means we cannot perform work on the vertical planes. That is the disadvantage of the vertical plane, vertical machining center. That can be overcome in the case of horizontal machining. But the drawback of the horizontal machining center is that we cannot twist the spindle. We can move horizontal and vertically only in the case of horizontal. It can reach horizontal and the vertical planes of the workpiece. The horizontal machining center, the tool and machine can be make in contact with the horizontal plane or either in the vertical. But whereas in the case of universal machining center, tool and workpiece can be in contact either in the vertical plane or horizontal plane or any of the angle between vertical and horizontal plane. That is also possible in the case of universal machining center. Then in the last session, we are also discussed the construction features of the CNC machining center, how the devices are connected and what are the different elements we have seen in our last class. Then we are also discussed the specification of CNC machining center, how the CNC machining centers are specified, maybe according to the type of drive used, maybe according to the feed system used, maybe according to the RPM. So there are different specifications. So those are also we are seen in our last class. Then we are discussed the CNC components, in which we are discussed the automatic tool changer. Then tool magazines were discussed. The function of the automatic tool changer is to change the tool whenever we want to replace the old tool. After completing one operation, we can engage the new tool with the workpiece. In that case, the automatic tool changer is going to come into the picture to change the tool. Automatic tool changer is going to save the idle time of the machine. That means it reduces the idle time of the machine. In turn, it utilizes the efficiency of the machine. In turn, you can call that as, that means utilization of the machine, CNC machine increases when we use automatic tool changer. Then care and maintenance of the CNC machine also we have seen what are the maintenance parameters, maintenance factors. Then what care we need to take care while operating the machine. All these we have seen, like pressure we need to check regularly. Hydraulic, if it is a hydraulic drive, if a CNC machine is using hydraulic drive, we need to regularly check the pressure parameters of the hydraulic system. Then we need to wash away all the chips. Then we need to take care the environment must be clean, and the temperature, if it is maintained. If it is a CNC machine, we need to maintain proper maintenance. So all we have seen in our previous session. Let me move forward to discuss what are the contents of this session. In this session, we will see CNC spindle drives, how this spindle drive is going to work, what exactly uh, this spindle drive is going to work. We will discuss in this. Then we move forward to discuss the feed drives, how this feed drive is going to work, what is the function of the feed drive we try to discuss. Then we move forward to see what is servo motor. Then what is the construction of the servo motor, we will see. Then we move forward to discuss the stepper motor, in which we discuss the construction details. And finally, we discuss the slide ways, in which we discuss the recirculating ball screw bearing. We will discuss with these contents, we move forward to discuss the details. In CNC spindle drives are used to provide the angular motion. Basically, whenever we are performing the different types of materials, so we need to rotate the different speed. Example, we are performing work on the aluminum workpiece. For example, you are performing work on the copper workpiece, or for example, you are performing work on the aluminum. So every material workpiece needs to be rotated with different speeds while performing the work. So the speed is not constant. Hence, we need to rotate the workpiece with the different speeds. To get the desired speed, or to rotate the workpiece with a different speed, might be it may be the workpiece or cutting tool. Even you are performing, assume that you are performing drilling operation. Even based on the material type, the tool needs to rotate. Okay, if it is a turning operation, tool is stationary, then a workpiece is going to rotate. So vice versa, if it is a drilling machine, tool is going to rotate, then workpiece is stationary. So in the case of drilling, all we need to consider, that means one needs to be varied. So that is speed. Either the speed of the tool, either the speed of the cutting tool needs to be varied with respect to the material, type of material. So that we need to rotate the speed, or the rotate the spindle or the tool with the different speeds to get the desired accuracy. It also depends on the hardness of the material. If the material is very hard, we need to rotate with very high speed. So based on the hardness of the material, we need to rotate the workpiece or tool. This is also very important. Controlling of speed, controlling the speed of the cutting tool or the workpiece plays a crucial role while calculating, while getting the accuracy. When we consider the accuracy, when we take the accuracy into consideration, the speed should rotate. This, I mean, whenever we are, I mean, the device, whatever we are using, in the case of CNC as a spindle drive, it must be able to rotate between 10 to 20,000 RPM. As I said just now, the speed of the workpiece or the tool definitely varies with respect to the type of the material or with respect to the type of the hardness. All factors we need to consider. Even sometimes the accuracy will also comes into the picture. Based on the accuracy, we need to vary the speed. So all these will count. uh, I mean, the spindle speed or the spindle drives plays a crucial role to get the accuracy or during the machining. Let me move forward to discuss what exactly it looks like. This is exactly the schematic diagram of spindle drive. You can see here you have a spindle motor. We will see what are the different types of motors later in the coming slides. Exactly here, the motor is connected to a pulley, and this pulley is connected to it will become the driver and it will become the driven. Then this speed is transmitted to the spindle where actually the workpiece is located. In this case, it is a workpiece. It is a turning operation. This is basically a turning machine in which the workpiece is going to rotate and the tool is going to fed against the rotating workpiece. So this is what the working principle of the turning operation. So based on the type of material, the workpiece needs to be rotated with the different speeds. Based on the accuracy also, based on the hardness also, the workpiece needs to be rotated with the different speeds. This is exactly the speed flow or the spindle drive. Sometimes you may not use this belt drive. Even the motion can be transmitted from driver to driven using the gear drive also. This is a rough or a skeleton or a typical schematic of a diagram of a spindle drive in CNC system, CNC spindle drive system. Then the machine tools mostly employ normally CNC machine tools or any of the machine tools normally employed in today's era is the DC spindle drives, direct control spindle drives. However, as a late, I mean, nowadays AC drives are preferred over the DC drives due to the flexibility that AC drives can be controlled using the microprocessors. So microprocessor based AC frequency inverter is used in AC spindle drives so that it is more flexible to control the motion of the or the speed of the drive. So that nowadays we are going to use AC drives. Our AC drives are preferred over the DC drives because AC drives are controlled using the microprocessors. So the spindle drive also must have overload capacity uh, because while performing the work on the uh, workpiece with the tool, there are sometimes the overload may also happen during the work due to its friction. So there must be overload capacity that should be given to the spindle drive. That means the spindle drive must be able to sustain the overload also. Okay, so this is very, very important requirement for the spindle drive. It must be capable to withstand overloads. These loads are unintentional loads, means intentionally the load may not increase. Sometimes due to breakdown or due to the irregular alignment of the mechanisms, overload may occur. So to avoid that, if overload occurs, sometimes the drive may also fail. So it must be able to sustain unintentionally applied loads to that drive. So this provision, that means it must be able to withstand the overloads for the unintentionally applied load. Okay, it is desirous to have a compact drive. So the CNC spindle drive must be compact so that to operate smoothly. This is what the introduction to the CNC spindle drive. Normally, almost all in the olden days, machines are going to employ DC spindle drives, but nowadays AC spindle drives are preferred over the DC drives because AC drives are controlled by using the microprocessor based AC frequency inverter. This is what the advantage. Okay. Then this spindle drive must have overload capacity to withstand the unintentionally applied loads. Or sometimes if you increase the feed also, sometimes the load may also more load may also act on the workpiece or on the drive. So to avoid that, it must have capability to withstand the high loads. It must have provision to withstand the high loads. This is what the one of the requirement of the spindle drive. Then it must be compact to run very smooth. This is also one of the requirement for the drive. So these are used to drive the slider table. As I said with you, these spindle drives, sorry, when it comes to the CNC feed drives, normally these feed drives are used to drive slide or a table. Slide or a table. Okay, it may be a slide or a table. These feed drive. The requirements of an ideal feed drives are it must have it must be able to drive with the constant torque and it must be able to overcome the friction and working forces. This is what the requirement. Basically, feed drive is nothing but it is a device used to impart motion to slide or a table in the case of CNC system. So the requirements for an ideal feed drives are it should be able to overcome friction and the working forces acting on the sliding motion of the drives or the table or the slide. Then it must be able to vary the speed range from 1 is to 20,000. That means the speed of the drives should also vary. Okay. Then it must run smoothly. Okay. It should be able to run smoothly. Should have an extremely small positioning resolution. Of course, to read the position of the table or to read the position of the spindle or the speed of the spindle, there are some devices which are termed as encoders. Encoders are going to sense the location, exact location of the spindle or the moment of the table. So based on that, the controlling takes place. So the feed drives or exactly the devices which are going to drive the table or the spindle. So the exactly to sense the movement of the table, so this feed drive must have the sensing provision. Okay, sensor provision to read the position of the table. The other requirements includes the high torque to weight ratio. That means it must have high torque, okay, to weight ratio, high torque to weight ratio. Torque to weight ratio must be high. Means torque must be high, then weight must be low. So this is what the requirement. So when the torque is high, weight is less. So torque to weight ratio will also increases. This is what the one of the requirement of the feed drives. Then rotor inertia, low rotor inertia. Of course, this feed drives must have rotor as well as the stator. Low rotor inertia, the inertia of the rotor must be low. Then it must be able to respond very quickly, because sometimes we are going to stop the table and sometimes we need to move the table very quickly, so that we must be able to control the movements of the table within a quick span of time, within a short span of time. That means the response must be very quick. I mean, within a short span of time, we are going to stop the table, then we need to restart the table, we need to move the table. This is what the quick response means. So in the case of contouring operations, the several feed drives have to work simultaneously. Like in the case of contouring, the movements of the tool or the movements of the table is going to vary continuously. So it must be, so the table must be very quick enough to, or the tool must be very quick enough to move on the work plane. Or if the tool is stationary, the work table must be able to move very quickly with respect to the tool movement, because the coordinates of the table or the coordinates of the uh, tool is going to vary continuously with respect to one to each other. This is what the quick response of the feed drive. Then this is exactly the typical feed drive. You can observe here you have a feed motor here. Servo motor is different. Here the feed motor is different. Every drive is having the specific motor. In this case, you have a dedicated motor. This is used to feed the table. Okay. Then you can see here it has a ball screw, a recirculating ball screw and nut, which are meshed together, which are connected together. The in between the nut and screw, nut and ball screw, these are not having direct contact. In between ball nut screw and the screw, nut and screw, there are balls. That means to reduce the friction, the contact surface of the screw and nut is inserted. The gap between the screw and nut will be having the ball screws. So those are going to circulate continuously to reduce the friction. As of now, we will discuss what is recirculating ball screw later in the coming slide. But as of now, you remember that here you have a nut and screw. In between that, to reduce the friction, the balls are introduced. To the moment you reduce the contact surface, the balls are going to reduce the contact surface between the screw and nut. So in turn, we are reducing the friction of the screw and nut, so that we can move the table very quickly or without or reducing the friction. That means the table is going to consume less power uh, when we use recirculating ball screws in between screw and nut. This is what the mechanism feed drives are going to use. I tell you once again, the in between nut and screw, the balls are introduced to reduce the friction, to reduce the power consumption of the table. This is exactly the basic principle of the feed drive. Let me move forward to discuss the servo motors. Servo motor is an electrical device that can push or rotate an object with accurate precision. As I said just now, every drive, feed drive, you take feed drive, you take spindle drive, everything is having a motor. So we need to see something about the servo motors. Servo motor is an electrical device that can push or rotate an object with accurate positioning. In the case of the feed drive or in the case of spindle drive, so all together we have the motors. So these motors, whenever we are able to rotate these motors within a precision manner, the movement of the table or the movement of the tool can be controlled within a precision way, or we can control the movements of the table and tool precisely. So servo motor is an electrical device that can push or rotate an object with accurate position, or whenever we want to rotate a tool, whenever we want to move a table within a precision manner, in this case we are going to use the servo motors. Servo motors are used in CNC systems to control the movement of the table, to control the movement of the tool precisely. The desired position is given as input to the system, uh, input to the system in the form of signal. We will give the input to the servo motor. In turn, the actual motion is measured by the encoder. Encoder is one device here. Encoder is a device continuously which is going to sense the movement of the table or sense the movement of the tool. The input signal, the input value, which is in the form of signal, and the output value, that means the movement of the table and the movement of the spindle, will be continuously read by the encoder. The value read by the encoder and the input value will be compared together. If the encoder finds any error value or finds any difference between input signal and the signal sensed or the value sensed by the encoder, if there is any error, again this error will be sent back to the feedback system and a feedback signal will be generated, or error signal will be generated. That error signal will be again sent to the control unit to position the movements of the tool and to position the movements of the table accurately as per the program. This is what the function of the encoder. Encoder is a device continuously to monitor the movements or the speed and feed of the table as well as the tool. This is what the function of the encoder. So this results in the desired speed, which is compared with the actual speed feedback by the tackle generator. Altogether, encoder is a device is going to sense the position of the actual position of the tool as well as the table. If it finds any error, again it will send signal or error signal to the control unit. Then these two, and again the error signal will be generated, and that error signal is again sent to the control unit, and that to the machine control unit to adjust the movement of the table as well as the tool without any error. This is actually the basic principle of the servo motor. The function of the servo motor is to rotate or to control the motion of the table precisely according to the input. Then normally used electric motors are servo motors in all the cases, which may be DC or AC, and the stepper motors. Normally used uh, drives are the servo motor and the stepper motor. The servo motor may be DC or AC. Then we will discuss servo motor and stepper motor in the coming slides. Then before discussing in detail, let us see what are the requirements required of the servo drives. Servo drive must have high torque to weight ratio. Yes, it must be able to rotate with high torque, and it must be low in its weight, so that torque to weight ratio is high. The maximum speed, and I mean this servo motor must be able to rotate with the maximum speed of 3000 rpm. Then high peak torque for quick responses. When the torque is high, that means you have a provision to reach the high torque within a short span of time. In turn, I will tell you that these servo motors must be able to reach high peak torque within a short span of time. That means high pickup. By taking within a less time, within a short time, we must be able to produce the maximum torque. So that is the meaning of this sentence. It should be able to respond very quickly. It should be able to reach the maximum torque within a short span of time. In turn, you can also say in that way. The required constant torque for overcome the frictional and working force must be provided. Of course, whenever we are using these unintentionally applied loads, this drive must be able to provide the overload facility also. Sometimes unintentionally applied loads may also act on the workpiece, maybe on the tool. To overcome that, the overcoming torque or to overcome frictional torque, sometimes the friction also going to reduce the power. The overload may act on the motors. So to overcome the friction, overcoming frictional torque will also be considered into account while designing the servo motors or while using the servo motors along with the CNC or in the CNC side. Frictional torque will also be considered, or the torque required to overcome friction will also be considered, as well as the overload also should be considered. As I discussed in the last slide, unintentionally applied loads may also act on the motor at the workplace. To overcome that factor also needs to be considered while using servo motor along with CNC. Operates at low power ranges. It should have a provision to operate at low power ranges. So instead of operating with at high ranges, these are the requirements of the servo motors used in CNC. So let us see what exactly the figure looks like. It is having the permanent magnets. This is called stator. Then we have rotor, and due to the permanent magnets are going to generate the torque. Along with that, yes, let us see the construction first. The rotor is a permanent magnet, while the stator is equipped with three-phase winding. Then the magnetic force is generated by the permanent magnet, and current through which further produces the torque. Magnetic force is generated by the permanent magnet, right? Then current which also produces the or which enhances the torque. So in that way, permanent magnet will also help us to generate the torque. Along with that, the electromagnetic force will also be induced between the stator and rotor to rotate to rotate the rotor. It has no brushes, so there is a little noise and vibration. If we have brushes, there is no vibration. That means the rotor is going to rotate without any noise. So this drive is not having brush, so that it produces some noise. This motor provides high precision control with the help of high resolution encoder. I told with you just now in the previous slide, encoders are the devices which are going to sense the movements continuously according to the input signal. Okay, so with the high resolution encoders, motor provides the high precision control. That means the motors and as well as the encoders are used continuously, integrated together to act accordingly. Speed and position of the motors are notified by the encoder. As I said just now, encoder continuously is going to sense the speed and position of the moving devices, and that sensing, after sensing, it will send the feedback signal, and according to that, if there is any error signal will be generated. According to the error signal, the movements of the table as well as the spindle will be adjusted. This is what the function of the encoder. We will discuss encoders in the next session, but as of now, you try to remember that encoder is a device which is continuously sense the movements of the table as well as the spindle. Then stator is composed of core and winding, right? Stator is having core and winding. The rotor part comprises the shaft, rotor core, and permanent magnet. Digital encoders can be capable of magnetic type, which can be optical or magnetic. Encoders are basically what is the meaning of this encoder here. This meaning of this sentence is that there are different types of encoders. One is optical type or the magnetic type. Okay, then we have the incremental and absolute type. We will discuss what are the different types of encoders in the next session. As I said just now, encoder is a device and which is going to sense the movements of the table as well as the spindle continuously. You remember up to that point. How these encoders are going to work, we will discuss in the next session. Okay. Let me move forward. It gives the digital signals. Encoders gives the digital signals which are in the proportion to the rotation of the sun. As I said just now, these are going to gives this which produces the digital signals which are in proportion to the movements of the table or the shaft. Then we come to the requirements of the servo motors. Okay, we expect whenever we are using these servo motors in CNC system, so those servo motors must have some requirements. It should be smooth in its operation at less speeds than 1 rpm, less than 1 rpm also. The torque is going to fluctuate. At very low speeds, at less speeds, the servo motor should be able to rotate with the uniform torque. In turn, you can say that as uniform torque. So it must be smooth in rotation, means the rotor must be able to rotate with uniform torque. That is what the meaning of this sentence. Brushless life, this system, the servo motors must have brushes of life more than 4,000 rpm. Even if the motor operates at 4,000 rpm, the brushes must be able to sustain this speed or withstand the speed. In the previous slide, we have seen that the servo motors are not going to use the brushes, but if you use the brushes, it must be able to reduce the noise. Brushes are going to used in the servo motors. So when you use the brushes, this must be able to reduce the, it must be able to sustain, the brushes must be able to sustain the speed up to 4,000 rpm. Then it must be sensorless switching. It must have sensorless switching continuously. Then transistor control, it must be enabled with the transistor control and diode rectifier. It must be able to control by the transistors, and it must have diode rectifier continuously. Diode rectifier means AC to DC or DC to AC to converter. It also requires that converter. It also must have the resolver for speed and position control and switching control. Resolver is a device used for speed and position control and as well as switching control. Okay. So in turn, we can call it as a resolver, means encoders. Resolvers are the encoders here. Then let us move to discuss. This is exactly the servo motor. Servo motor. Servo motor is an electrical device that can push or rotate an object with accurate precision. That is going to rotate an object with accurate position, which can be AC type or DC type, as I said just now. Okay, it can be servo motor and a stepper motor. These are the requirements. Then this is exactly the construction. It has stator and rotor. Then uh, let us discuss the stepper motor. Okay, stepper motor is going to convert or going to work in the form by taking the input in the form of pulse. This is what the advantage of the stepper motor. This servo motor is not going to take the signal in the form of pulse. Okay, but here the stepper motor is going to work or takes the input pulse into precisely defined increment in the shaft position. That means the position of the shaft is controlled by the pulse signal, discretized pulse signal. So this pulse signal is going to continuously control the movement of the rotor or control the movement of the shaft accurately. So each pulse moves the shaft to a fixed angle. That, as I said, the movement of the shaft will be controlled by using the pulse signal. So each pulse is having the definite movement. Each pulse is going to move the shaft to a fixed angle of the rotation of the shaft, so that the control is exact in the case of stepper motor when you compare with the servo motor, because we are giving the pulse signal. Each pulse is having or defined with the definite motion of the shaft. That means each pulse is going to rotate the shaft with a definite angle. So when we compare the stepper motor with the servo motor, the control or the moment of the speed is exact in the case of stepper motor. This is the advantage of the stepper motor. With this, you can conclude that, with this statement, you can conclude that the control is exact in the case of stepper motor than the servo motor. Then when it comes to the construction, multiple toothed electromagnets are arranged around a central piece of iron. So you have a core at the center. Over the core, so multiple toothed electromagnets means there is each coil. Each magnet is also coiled. That means it will be magnetized with the electricity. That means we can call when we get the magnetic power using the electricity, we can call those magnets as electromagnets. Okay, so those are having the multiple tools, and it is also coiled together, and it is also having a winding. When we give the electricity, so these electromagnets will generate magnetic power, and according to that, a rotor is going to rotate. This is what happens. So the function of these multiple tools is that these multiple tools are going to generate the pulse signal. According to the pulse signal, the rotor is going to rotate. Let us see the figure exactly. Here you have a rotor and you have a stator here. It is stationary. So to the stator, multiple tooth, you can observe here, it is having teeth. So multiple toothed electromagnets are located. That means when we give electricity or when you supply electricity, so you will get the magnetism here. So that you can call this as an electromagnet. Because of that magnetic power, this rotor is going to rotate. This rotor is going to rotate. Because of the teeth on the stator, because of the teeth on the electromagnets, the pulses will generate. So each pulse corresponds to each angle, some angle of rotation of the rotor. So based on the movement or based on the pulses, the movement of the rotor will be controlled here. So each pulse is we are going to get the movement of the rotor with respect to the pulses. How many pulses if the rotor receives the number of pulses, in proportion to that this rotor is going to rotate. As I said just now, each pulse is going to correspond to the movement of the rotor. So in proportion to the signals received, pulse signals received, this rotor is going to rotate. That is what the concept of the stepper motor. So let me go back once again. Stepper motor consists multiple toothed electromagnets. Okay, because of the multiple tooths, it is going to be generate the pulsed signals. Because of this pulsed signals, the rotor which is located at the center is going to rotate. That means the movement of the rotor or the rotation of the rotor will be proportional to the signal that is generated, pulse signal that is generated by the stator or the electromagnets which are surrounded over the rotor. This is exactly the basic principle of the CNC stepper motor. Okay, basically these are ideally used for open loop control systems. Okay, if it is closed loop, you have encoder, continuously encoders are going to read the data, read the positions of the tool and table, and again it will send back the signal. But here the movement itself, we are giving the input signal in such a way that according to that proportionality only the rotor is going to rotate, and according to the rotation the spindle will rotate and we will get the table movement. Okay, this is what the basic principle. Ideally these stepper motors are suited for open loop control systems. Okay, then the other advantage of the stepper motor is that in this case we don't require A to D converter, analog to digital converter, nor the feedback device. As I said just now, you don't require the feedback device, or means it is an encoder. Encoder is a feedback device. You don't require encoder in this case, so that we can use this as open loop. Whenever you are using a closed loop system, means it takes the signal back. The controller is going to take the signal back. It continuously we are going to monitor. According to that, we will adjust the movements of the table as well as the tool in the case of closed loop. But in the case of open loop system, we are not going to control. We are not going to get the feedback signal. So we don't require the feedback device, means we don't require the encoder, and we don't require the analog to digital converter. Okay, then the advantages of the stepper motor are low cost. When you compare with the cost, stepper motor cost is low, and it is simple in construction. Yes, it is very simple in construction. High reliability, no maintenance is required. Like the servo motor, the maintenance is less when you compare with the servo motor. So this is the advantage of some of the advantages of the stepper motor. I repeat this, it doesn't require the feedback device, it doesn't require the analog to digital converter, and it is ideally suited for open loop systems. Then stepper motors are low cost, simple in its construction, highly reliable, and no maintenance is required. These are the advantages of the stepper motor. Then when it comes to the CNC slideways, so slideways are used to control the direction or the line of action of the translational movement of the table or carriage. That means the linear movement of the table or carriage will be controlled by using the slideways. In turn, you can call these slideways are used to control the linear movement of the table or carriage, so on which the tools or the work are held actually. So the alignment of the slideways to each other is therefore critical. That means whenever we want to get the accurate work, whenever we expect the accuracy on the workpiece, the movement of the tool as well as the movement of the table is crucial. So the slideways are very, very important to get the accurate work. To get the critical dimensions, I mean to get the actual, I mean the more accurate dimensions of the component, the accuracy and the consistency, the consistent movements of the slideways are very, very important. That means the accurate movements and consistent movements of the slideways plays a crucial role to get the accurate work. Lead screws are usually of adequate time. As we have seen, you consider a lathe lead screw. There we have an Acme thread. Acme thread is going to be in contact with the carriage. So where we have high friction. So we require high frictional resistance. In turn, we require high powered motors to overcome the friction. So that can be overcome by using recirculatory ball screws that we will see in the next slide. So in the case of lathe, there is also backlash. Backlash is nothing but the clearance between screw and a nut. So this also reduces the power. I mean, this also increases the power consumption. So the moment we are able to reduce the friction, that means the accuracy of the table we can increase, as well as the power consumption also we can reduce. This is what. So to reduce the friction, recirculating ball screws are used in the case of CNC machine tools. So these are very, very important devices used to reduce the friction, used to move the table, as well as the tools which are kept on the table. Okay. So screw and nut, this recirculating ball screw consists screw and nut, which is going to convert rotary motion, because whenever we have screw and nut, rotary motion, when we rotate the screw, nut is going to rotate on that. Okay. So this screw and nut is having the sliding contact basically. So when you take an example of screw and nut, the screw and nut is having the sliding friction. That means the contact area is more. The motion between the screw and nut is sliding motion. So whenever we have the sliding motion, the friction will be high. The moment we are able to reduce the friction between the screw and nut, the power consumption rate. Then to reduce the friction between the screw and nut, to reduce the sliding friction between the screw and nut, we are going to introduce the balls, or the spherical balls, where screw and nut is making contact. So to reduce the friction, spherical balls are inserted where the screw and nut is contacting together to reduce the friction. Okay, when in the case of traditional conventional machines, we are going to use the Acme threads. The efficiency of the conventional Acme threads is that 20 to 30%. Whereas when we use the recirculating ball screws, where we are going to introduce the spherical balls in between screw and nut, in that case, we are going to increase the efficiency from 20 to 30 to 90%. That is the advantage of the recirculating ball screw. Linear guideways in the case of recirculating ball screws. So we have a linear guideways in which we are going to introduce the spherical balls or the rollers. Of course, instead of using the balls, we can also introduce the rollers. So in both the cases, we have point contact as well as the line contact respectively to reduce the friction. So this recirculating ball screw we will discuss with the figure. You can observe here, we have a recirculating ball screw here. The function of this recirculating ball screw is to reduce the friction between the meeting surfaces. As you can see here, you have a shaft here. Okay, on the shaft, so we have the teeth. So spherical shaped teeth are the worm gear in which we are going to, on the surface of the spherical balls are introduced in the gap of in the teeth of the screw on which the nut is provided. So in between the contact surface of the nut and screw, these recirculating ball screws are continuously going to move. After coming out from all the balls, these balls are again inserted in between the gap of the screw and nut continuously. That means we're continuously supplying the balls in the gap of the screw and nut. So after coming out, these balls are again supplied. From one passage, these balls are coming out. On the other passage, the same balls are entering in between the gap of the nut and screw. In turn, we are reducing the friction. In turn, we are reducing the contact surface between the screw and nut. This is what the basic principle of the recirculating ball screw, to reduce the friction between screw and nut. Also, it is converting the rotary motion to the linear motion, so on which we are going to place a table or maybe tool. Let me move further. In the next session, we will discuss the incremental encoders, absolute encoders, linear encoders. So different types of encoders we will discuss. In the next session, we also discuss the feedback devices. Let me go back what we have discussed as of now. Recirculating ball screw we have discussed. Then we have seen the slideways. Stepper motor, we have seen working principle of the stepper motor, the requirements of the stepper motor. Then we have seen the servo motors, requirements of the servo motors. We have seen the construction details of the servo motor. Then we have seen the feedback drives, then spindle drives. So these are all the contents covered in this session. In the next session, we will discuss the feedback drives, then encoders. Thank you one and all.